Hi, my name is Shelley Longson, and I'm doing the history of Theater 100, and I did a PowerPoint. Um, Ancient Greece. Playwrights wrote drama possibly as early as the 8th century BCE. The tragedies of Thespis in the late century are the first known plays, which is where thespian becomes known as actor. Tragedy, comedy, in a lesser known form called satire, became the chief fare of the Greek stage. More of the plays were by Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, Ariphanes, and Menander. They always had a choral drama, which meant they had like a singing, repeating kind of deal, which the Romans did not like and later took out. They wrote the chorus, whether tragic or comic, as part of the drama. And so that kind of put the theme on how they wanted to play it. Roman playwrights took the choral out, but they stole from the Greeks, including the structures and plots of plays. The first one was Livius Andronicus, which he produced in 240 BCE, and he was actually Greek, so that was kind of funny. In Roman drama, there was 3 writers that their plays actually survived till this day, and that was Plautus, Terence, and Seneca. Most of them were gone because of the paratheatricals, where they did the mimes and the chariot racing and the gladiatorial combat, all that action. Really got rid of what they would have used it for. One of them that was important though was called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. European Middle Ages. Everything revolved around the church, Catholicism. So most of the plays were called liturgical drama, and they were biblical stories. And most of these were controlled by the Catholic Church. And a lot of them, the dramas were performed in Latin. Quem quaeritis trope. But then and those were all in the church. Then came the cycle or mystery plays. These were based on church teachings, but they were using common language and they used rhymes, so the people that were acting in them could memorize them, and the common folk could understand them and learn something from them. There was a lot of non-Western plays, where this picture right here is Kabuki. It's showing Subaraku. And they used more of an outline than they did like word for word, text for text. Japan was the 14th century. They did the No theater, and they had a 3-part structure, the Jo, Ha, and Kyu, and they included 2 characters with the chorus. They had 5 types: God, man, woman, insanity, and demon, and they were all performed together. The more spectacle, which means, more lights and scenes and stuff like that, more pizzazz, was the Kabuki. In China, it was the Beijing Opera. In the golden age of Chinese drama, the 14th century was the Yuan dynasty, which was like the best dynasty, I guess. They used classical novels and stories and multi-acts. They were divided into 4 types: the man, woman, and 2 different clowns, which I can't stand clowns. And then they had to do the 4 types of characters, which is male, female, painted face, and clown. And yeah. Then they also had the African performance, which was non-written plays. Usually they were like passed down oral text. But then they started mixing them and becoming hybrids. The Golden Ages. The Western Renaissance And dramas are secularized because basically they were trying to split away from the church. This was the golden age of Spain from 1580 to 1680. Lope de Vega wrote like 1,800 plays, and they really based it on quantity and not quality. So if you wrote more plays, then you were more important. There was many different types of plays. The autos sacramentales were religious. The comedias was more secular drama or serious or comedic. And the capa e espadas were the cloak and sword plays. The leos were like prologues, like stuff before the actual play. And then the entremeses were the plays between comedy acts. So, like, I guess if they were doing a comedy show, then they'd show a little play in between. The new golden age, they got rid of religious dramas. It was outlawed in Paris, it was outlawed in the Council of Trent, and outlawed in England. So the influence came from Italy, which was doing the Renaissance. The other influence was the invention of the printing press, so they could actually make more than one copy of the play. And because it was going away from the church, it became more professionalized. And Queen Elizabeth had stabilized England, so they were really ready to settle down there in England. The university wits were inspired by the Roman playwright Seneca. And then Thomas Kyd wrote The Spanish Tragedy, and Christopher Marlowe wrote Dr. Faustus and the Jew of Malta and Edward II. They blend classical and medieval playwriting to inspire Shakespeare. Next was Elizabeth England or English Renaissance, which was like Shakespeare's time. He started in 1590 and he wrote 40 plays, which they are not really sure if he only wrote 40 plays or if he wrote more. But he really got into it. He was also the actor and producer, and I think that's what inspired more people because he was more passionate about it than the rest. He wrote Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, Othello, and Henry VIII, parts 1 and 2. Those were just some of the famous ones he wrote. He even gave us English words that we still use today, such as dawn, bedroom, and advertising. He would use very complex characters and talk about human nature, and his plots were just above and beyond what the normal plot was. And his language was crazy too. Like, he used poetry, blank verse, iambic pentameter, elegant speech, slang, prose, body wit, and just really wowed the crowds back then. Another playwright during his time that's not that famous is Ben Jonson. He wrote mostly for public theaters, but as the court mask, which they kind of made fun of the people in power. But he was named the Poet Laureate of England and wrote a play as Every Man and His Humor in Bartholomew Fair, which I thought was interesting. Neoclassicism or New Classicism. This is the shift to illusionism. Performance that gives illusion of real life. The decorum used of 3 genres, 3 unities, a 5-act form, and twofold purpose. They involved reality, university, and morality. Really talking about truth and how important it is. They had a very strict code of morality, and decorum was you needed to act the way your social status, and basically, if you were a prince, you act like a prince. If you were a beggar, you act like a beggar. And these were to teach and to please. The Restoration. 1660 Italianate staging brought to English theater. The play shifted, where they had rape scenes and they had breeches rules, which was where women wore pants. They had comedies written by William Wycherley and William Congreve. He had the 18th century was opera and pantomime. The French drama, Molière, combined neoclassicism, commedia, and farce. and he wrote Truffaut, which was very controversial. Victor Hugo also wrote the tragedy Hermione during this time. Romanticism came in the late 18th century. It's a diverse movement that, we had the universal rules, embracement of the natural world, and idealization of the artist as a genius. Melodrama, music drama, distraction from industrial revolution, including poor working conditions. So basically, they were just trying to get away from the way they were living. Modern drama used realism, which was dominant, and naturalism. Charles Darwin, Sigmund Freud, and Auguste Comte were the big influences. They also used the scientific method, using the five senses and trying to really dissect their work, I guess. Realistic drama, Henrik Ibsen wrote Oedipus X. Anton Chekhov and George Bernard